influential men from Adam alayhi salam, from Adam up to current times. And he gives us a list of those 100 most influential men according to his reasoning. He gives reasons behind every person that he chooses. Why he chose this number 1 and why he chose that number 30 and why he chose that number 100. He gives you reasons. And the amazing thing about his list is this, that number 1 on his list, you can guess, is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number 1, Muhammad. An American in America, writing a book which retails in America for $12.50, 572 pages. Who will buy his book? The 200 million nominal Christians of America or the 6 million Jews, not Pakistanis, Bangladeshis or Arabs. Oh, they'll buy one here, one there, but the bulk of his customers will be the Americans. The market is the American market, Christians and Jews. And he's telling them that Muhammad, the member of their opposition, is the first man, the greatest man, most influential man in history. And the shocking thing about his list is this, that his own Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is number 3. His own Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is number 3, not even number 2. And he gives his reasons for that also. He said, you see, the honor for Christianity, or whatever it is to be divided between Paul and Christ. And he said that the real founder of Christianity is not Jesus Christ, is Saint Paul. He wrote more books. The New Testament consists of 27 books. 27 different books, out of which more than half, 14 are written by this one man Paul, Saint Paul, the self-appointed apostle of Jesus. Self-appointed. He didn't go and choose him. He chose 12. But the self-appointed apostle, as he claims, Paul, he wrote 14 out of 27 books, more than half. And everything that the Christian is preaching today is not the preachings of Jesus, are not the teachings of Jesus, are the teachings of Paul. See, whenever we have an argument with the Christian, we are asking him, do you keep the laws and the commandments? Because Jesus said so. One jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Do you keep the laws and the commandments? He said, whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, or shall teach men so, shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Do you keep the laws and the commandments? He says, no. So why don't you? So he says, no, the law is nailed to the cross. He said, we are now living under grace. I said, where did you get that? So he says, Corinthians, Philippians, Galatians. So what's all that? Who's that? He says, this is Paul. Paul. So what did your master say? No, they don't talk about the master, Jesus. They don't talk about him. Paul. If they contradict you in anything, it's Paul. The real founder of Christianity is Saint Paul. So, this man, Michael H. Hart, he gives the, had it not been, he would have come number 2, Jesus Christ. But since the honor is divided, he goes to number 3. So I'm asking, please account for it. Why should an American in America publish a book? He wants to do business. And he's provoking his customers. You see, in business we say that the customer is always right. You must appease your customers. If you want to do business, you must please your customers. You don't argue and debate with your customers, otherwise they won't come back. But this man is telling his customers that they are all wrong, and he's right. Muhammad number 1, Jesus Christ number 3. Now, if a Christian confirms what Allah Bari Ta'ala has already told us in the Holy Quran, He says, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. So most certainly thou, O Muhammad, standest on the highest pinnacle of behavior. It makes us happy that a Christian in America, he goes to confirm what the Quran stated 1400 years ago. But the problem is, I say, account for it. We are asking the unbeliever, account for this. Why should he go out of his way and provoke his customers? So some cynic, jocular fellows, sarcasm. They say maybe some Arab might have bribed this fellow. The Arabs are very rich. They have just run into money, petrodollars, petrodollars. It's quite easy for an Arab. One of our brethren, he's married to a woman from Johannesburg, a white woman from Johannesburg. And she boasts about her illegitimate daughter, that woman, the wife of Adnan Khoshabji. So our brother Adnan, he was spending $30,000 an hour for his wife to see color TV on her yacht in the Mediterranean. She could have seen black and white, but it wasn't good enough for her. She must see color TV. But with who? With her boyfriend, Rudolph Churchill. And our brother is paying for that. Our brother is paying $30,000 an hour to beam by satellite, especially for his wife to enjoy with her boyfriend in the yacht. Another of our brethren, he goes to the Australian waters to do fishing. Blue marlin, it's that game fish. You might have seen it on TV. When you hook that, it flies out of the water like a bird. And it's a fighting fish. So he went to catch blue marlin in the Australian waters. He didn't catch anything, poor fellow. But the people who helped him to bait the hook, he gave them $2,000 each. Tip, $2,000 each. Look, if our brothers can do that, why can't they give $10,000 to Michael H. Hart? He said, look man, you're writing a book. What about putting in a few good words for my Muhammad? I say it's possible, but it's not probable. It wouldn't enter the minds of our brethren to do such things. Then in the Times magazine, July 15, 1974, there were a series of essays under the heading, Who were history's great leaders? Who were history's great leaders? The first one was about the most influential men in history. Now the question is the great leaders in history. So different people were questioned, religious men, mathematicians, psychologists, military men. Who do you think was the greatest leader of all time? You. Who do you think was the greatest leader of all times? And each according to his knowledge and experience, like that Portuguese gentleman I referred to you, they gave the heroes. Some said Mahatma Gandhi, some said Confucius, some said Hitler. Not good or bad. We're not talking about good or bad. But from the point of view of leadership, the guy was great. 90 million Germans at his bidding, death or destiny. And he led them to destruction. 90 million, they marched into Russia. When they marched into Russia, they destroyed 20 million Russians, 2,000 kilometers non-stop. Look, as a leader, the guy was great. Good or bad, we're not talking about that. Leadership. Some say Mussolini, from the point of view of leadership, the guy was great. Each giving his hero according to his experience and background, his knowledge. Among these contributors, there is one James Gavin. He is described as a United States Lieutenant General retired. He says, this is an American, in that article he says, among leaders who made the greatest impact through the ages, I would consider, number one, guess who? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number one, Muhammad. And as a Christian, he says number two, Jesus Christ. You blame him? But I said, account for that. Why should he put our Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam number one and his own God and Savior number two? Which Arab bribed him? I don't know. Then there is another contributor to those articles by the name of Jules Masserman. He is described as a United States psychoanalyst. And you know the psychoanalyst, the job is to analyze the minds of men. And when they find a genius, they're looking for lunacy in the man. Because we are told that the difference between a genius and a lunatic is a very thin veil dividing the two. You know, just a little over, you are a lunatic, and a little this side, you are a genius. So in every genius, they look for lunacy. That is the job of the psychiatrist, psychoanalyst. And he is a professor of the Chicago University, professor of psychology. He says that before you confer greatness upon any leader or would-be leader, we must first find out what we are looking for in the man. You just don't say this guy or that guy or that guy. We want to know what we are looking for in the man. And he gives us 3 objective standards. Number 1, he says that that person, whoever he is, number 1, he must provide for the welfare of the led. He is interested in your welfare, not in milking cows for himself, like Reverend Jim Jones. Reverend Jim Jones in Guyana. You know, he committed suicide with 910 of his followers. 911, 100% suicide. Not one guy was left alive. He made them to commit suicide because he was doing things wrong and he was being discovered. So he wanted to get rid of all evidence against him. And what better way than mass suicide? They call it the suicide cult. 100%. They wipe themselves out. But in the meantime, it was discovered that this man, Reverend Jim Jones, had salted away in the banks of the world $15 million in his own account. So his followers were his milking cows. He was using them, and he was now being found out, discovered. Said, no, this leader, whoever he is, number 1, he must provide for the welfare of the led. He is interested in your welfare. Number 2, he must provide a social organization in which people feel relatively secure. Like our community. When you visit one another, you know, when you visit a Muslim brother, he invites you, if he's eating, so come on, sit down to eat. If nothing, he said, right, look, have some Coke, have a cup of tea, have some bhajias, have some samosas, have some kusistas. Innocent enjoyment. The other community says, look, what about a drink? Brandy? What? You know, you see these advertisements. It says, down a lion and feel satisfied. You seen that? Down a lion means lion beer, not that lion that in the bushes is. That's too dangerous. Down a lion and feel satisfied. The other guy says, big advertisements, huge placards. He said, don't be vague, say Hague. And you know, the French, they beat the lot. The Frenchman. There was a huge hoarding advert in Durban, 30 feet by 10 feet. And there were only 3 words. Only 3 words on that advert. And what an impact those 3 words had. You know what it was? They had the lips of a woman, well lipsticked, with a gleaming teeth, and with one grape. You only see the grape in the 2 fingers, and she's just about putting the grape in her mouth. That's all. But you don't see her hands, nothing. You only see the lips, beautiful lipstick lips, and the grape, and the gleaming teeth. And it's written, France, wine country. That's all. In other words, if you are a connoisseur, if you have that aptitude for that sort of stuff, when you go to France, what will you think of? Drink, drink, drink. Only 3 words. France, wine country. Says no. This person, you see, this Islam that made it so that we have innocent enjoyments. You don't want to go and dance with your brother's wife? Or somebody, you want to take her to the dance? You want to do this? You want to drink? What for? No. We have innocent enjoyments. It provides a society in which people feel relatively secure. Number 3, and that person must provide for unity of belief. What are our little differences? We have our arguments and our debates on the size of the beard. So, mashallah, you got a nice beard, but why don't you make it standard size, my brother?